Hi, my name is Kelly and I work at the Muncie Public Library. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Little Among Us plush. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a front and a back, we're going to need a little face, and we're going to need a front and back for the backpack. And then you're going to need some scissors, you're going to need a needle, I'm using an embroidery needle, and some embroidery floss. First thing we're going to do is we're going to thread the needle here. Maybe once I find the front. There we go. Sometimes it takes some twisting to get that nice and straight. You can also wet it slightly. And then pinch it through. There you go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the backpack. So we have the front and the back here. And we're going to place them on top of each other, just like this. And we're going to start on the inside, so you're going to fold one down. Because we want to make sure that the knot is on the inside of the backpack rather than the outside. And then we're going to loop it around. Just like this. Yep. Okay. So then we're going to go back, loop it. And this time when we're looped, we're going to go back through there. So when we pull it, it makes a knot on top. And we're going to keep doing that. So we're going to pull, and then we see this here. We'll go through that, and then we'll finish pulling it tight. And then you'll get an edge that's starting to look like this. And then we'll keep going around until there is a small hole left, and then we'll put in the stuffing. You want to try to keep your stitches even. It's okay if they're a little off. You want to keep the thread tight. Otherwise the stuffing will spill out. So what I'm doing is I'm holding this piece here so that it doesn't get tangled in. Then pull. We want to pull this out to make sure that that thread isn't bunching up, or making the fabric bunch up, that is. And then we're going to just keep going. Looks like I will have enough thread to finish off the backpack, which is awesome. just like making a tiny little pillow. So now that we have a little space open, we have some stuffing here. We're going to take the stuffing. We're just going to press it, open it up, and push it inside. Your first couple stitches will come a little bit undone. That's okay. And you can stuff it as much as you want or as little as you want. I like having a nice big backpack. So I put quite a bit of stuffing in there. Okay. And then once you get the stuffing in, you can pull out this after. So don't worry too much if there's a little bit of stuffing coming out. We're just gonna continue with the stitch and we're gonna stitch it closed. Okay. So I got one more stitch here. It's going right over my first stitch so that it's nice and closed. So since I have a little bit left, I'm going to keep going. But if not, what we do is we're going to take the back. What we're going to do is we're actually going to take this and we are going to, I'm putting it at the bottom because I like it best at the bottom. We're going to take this and we're going to go a little bit further in than what we want the backpack. And so it's on this side. We're going to do one more stitch over here. I'm going to try to get the places where I've already stitched on the backpack. It's okay if it doesn't go. And we are just going to be stitching in and out. And to tie it off, you would see right here, you'd put the needle back through, and then put the needle through here, and boom, you have a knot. And then you're just going to keep going. All the way around. These can be larger stitches because it's just attaching this. We're not actually sewing anything closed. So we go up, right back down through, come around on this side. I'm trying to go in the same places I had the other stitches. That way it doesn't show up so much. So we're getting to the end of this thread. We want a couple of inches left. And we are going to go back through this last piece and then back it into the hole. And then you got a nice little knot. We will cut it off and re-thread. Again, sometimes you'll have to twist or wet the end of the thread to get it to go through the needle. We'll try this other side here. There it goes. If one side gets too frayed, you can always go through a different one, or you can cut it. I was just kind of straightening the thread out and then doing another tie. I don't like how long that is, so I'm just going to snip off the edge. Then we have our new thread. We're gonna go right in next to where we left off. It doesn't look like my thread is even because it had like a little bunch right there, so I will pull it back through and then tighten my string. Okay, and then we're going back through the same way that we were. Oh, accidentally wrapped it around, so I'll pull it out, pull it back through. Okay, so I'm almost finished attaching the backpack here. I think we have one more stitch. Yep. Push it back through. Yep, we went all the way around. So we're going to tie it off again, same way we did it before. So you'll go through the last stitch, loop it through, pull the knot, and then you will trim. Like that. So our back is done. And I'm going to go ahead and tie this off again because I still have plenty of thread. Next, we're going to do the face. So now we're going to go ahead and start with the face. So we're going to place it right on there, and it should stick because this is felt. So it should stay where we want it. And we're just going to take this, and we're just going to stitch it just like we stitched the backpack on here. Except we're going to go around like this. And what you'll want to do is you'll do the first stitch, and then you'll do another one, and then you'll bring it back. Because we're just going to draw a line with our thread. You could also do it exactly the way that we did it with the back pack and stitch over the side, more like this one. However, I personally have found that I like the line around it. But that's up to you. Whichever stitch you're most comfortable with. Just make sure that you are making sure that this is nice and flat and you are not bunching up the fabric as you sew it. We're almost to the end of our thread, but I think I'm going to be able to finish this. And I will show you how to do a knot with a short piece of thread because that is what's going to happen here. And then this last stitch, I'm going to put right through the first stitch and then into the hole of the last stitch. So you have this. You want to make sure that it's, before you tie it, you want to make sure that it's nice and sitting there correctly, not bunched up. Okay, and you're going to go around the back. It's a little shorter than what we usually like it for knotting, but it's okay. We're gonna just slip it underneath a stitch and then back the needle back through the loop we just created. And boom, you got your knot. You can snip it off. And I'm gonna snip these little threads here so that it's not just sitting there. Okay, so now we have our front and our back, and we are going to stitch them together. And since this is felt, it is stretched slightly with using it, and that's okay. So we're just going to match it up the best we can. So let's thread our needle again. We're going to do a bigger piece of thread this time to make sure that we don't have to keep stopping and starting. And maybe if my embroidery floss did not tingle. So my thread's really long, but that's okay. You can do shorter or longer thread, whichever one you are most comfortable. Just make sure that you don't get it tangled. Okay, I'm gonna match these ends up and tie. A knot. I'm gonna do 2 on this one because I feel like it should be a little bit thicker. I'm gonna snip off the ends. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull tight. Okay. I'm going to be starting at the side and going around this way because I find this easier to stitch that way. So we're gonna stitch it just like we stitched the backpack. So I went up. We're gonna go back around. And through the loop. Then it'll start to stay once we have a few stitches in. So down, up, through the loop. Try to keep your stitches as even as you can. Make sure you are getting both sides of the material. And keeping the thread tight. Because that'll make sure your stuffing doesn't come out. I pull straight up when I do this, just because I find it easier. Careful not to stab yourself with the needle, because that is not a fun time. We just keep going around. Oh, looks like something got mixed up here. So we're gonna pull this. Looks like it accidentally knotted somewhere. And it is because my needle got twisted in the thread. So just backtrack if something messes up, and that's okay. I've been sewing for over 10 years and I still mess up. Mistakes happen and they're perfectly okay. Again, make sure you're getting both fabrics. And you're keeping your stitches about even. Okay, we are almost getting to the point where we are going to start stuffing the plush. So when this thread runs out is when we're going to start stuffing. Okay, this will be the last stitch with this piece of thread. And what we're gonna do to tie it off, we're actually gonna go on the inside. And this inside stitch, we're going to go underneath and loop it through just like we did on the other inside stitches. That made a knot, so we can trim that, and now we're ready to stuff. So we got some stuffing here. I'm going to break it apart so it's easier to stuff in. If you have a pencil or something, it's sometimes easier to get down in the legs. So we're going to use this pencil here. And we're just going to press the stuffing in and just keep pushing. And then eventually the leg will fill up. Then we're going to stuff the other leg. So we're going to push, push. Then our legs are stuffed. Now we just got to worry about the body. You can put as much or as little stuffing as you want, depending on how how thick you want your plushie. I'm gonna put a little bit more in because after I'm gonna shove a little bit more into the middle. That way I can even it out once I finish stitching. Okay. So we'll put the stuffing away. Thread one last time. Doesn't need to be too long because we're not doing too much with it. We're just finishing this out. Snip. Find the ends. Pull the thread down. Straighten everything out. Make the ends meet again. Re-straighten and then tie. We're going to start it off just like we started at the beginning of the body here. So, started on the inside. And then finish it out. Okay. All right, so what I like to do is I like to go through and just do the same knot we've been doing. Pull tight, snip close. And then we're going to just kind of spread out the cotton. Then you got your Little Among Us plush. All right, thank you so much for joining me on making our Little Among Us plush. There is a link in the description for the pattern I used. And you can check out the Muncie Public Library webpage for more information on other programs that we do.